Bye.
My name is Nicole Halper from Piscataway, New Jersey, and I grew up on a 75-acre farm in a bustling suburb a mile away from a shopping center where I love to go with my friends. But in 1998, the town started a process known as eminent domain. It's a little clause in the Fifth Amendment that says that the government can take property of any American citizen for public use. Now, I've questioned what the public means since I was 5 years old and this all started, and I still haven't arrived at the answer, but maybe we can figure it out together. The town sent a letter to my 76-year-old grandmother, who was once a partner in the farm, telling her that she had a choice to make. Either accept the town's offer of below market value price for our 75-acre farm, or they would take it by force, eminent domain. Naturally, this woman had no idea what to do, although in 1975, the town had taken 25 acres, again for public use using eminent domain, and today there stands a shopping center for private use. So they hired a lawyer. His specialty was eminent domain abuse, and the legal proceedings began. And today, 14 years later, they continue. The projected estimate is 15 more years. But we faced a lot of contradiction in the system. Lawyers who were working with the town, lawyers who were incompetent and refused to answer our questions about legal proceedings, judges whose sons were working with the township planning board attorney, who later became a city councilman and ran against my mother for mayor. And through all of this, we as simple farmers, but still with a vision, and who represented the foundation of the producers of this country, tried to worm our way through it, all of the corruption and the conflicts of interest. In 2006, SWAT teams came onto the farm and kicked us off at gunpoint with nowhere to go, didn't pay us, and proclaimed that we were serving the public. Now, it's 2012. And I'm going to university, as are my two older siblings and my younger sisters just starting high school. And when I was about 6, I worked for hours planting 10,000 trees on those 75 acres. And instead of using that money to pay for my tuition, the township is now digging up those trees and selling them to make a quick buck. And all of the legal proceedings, the crop claim, which was supposed to award us money, compensation for those products, was thrown out. First by the lawyer who was originally conflicted with the town. Then, when my father insisted that it be heard in front of the judge, who was assigned by the previous judge who had been conflicted, but the previous judge still oversaw the case, he refused to see it and said that it was nonsensical and wasn't applicable to our well-being, as though they know what that means. So 14 years later, we still haven't been paid. And what my father does, he was always a farmer until the 70s or late 80s. There were a milking operation, so he and his brothers woke up at 5 in the morning to milk cows and then send up the bottles and other food to restaurants to sell. And in between that, hard work. They planted organic crops. My father invented a unique method of rejuvenating topsoil by collecting leaves and composting them and then screening them in with fill dirt and selling back to people who had no intention of recycling their lawn material. And all of this was done organically, although today the township claims that we owe them millions of dollars in environmental cleanup when at the insistence of an objective surveyor, those chemicals that they're finding on the farm are remnants of the chemicals the county used to spray to kill mosquitoes, which we refused to let them spray on the farm, but they did so anyway. So today, my father still doesn't have a piece of property, and a farmer's land is his collateral. It is his livelihood, and without it, he is nothing. But still we endure. Although after 2006 and the official taking, he attempted to find a few lots in Piscataway and around it in the same county, but was harassed and harangued by police officers, crooked judges who didn't want to hear that their buddies, with whom they play golf, with whom they attend weddings, with whom they go drinking, did those sort of things, although at their insistence these things happened. Meanwhile, the press was controlled by the township. Nothing went out about our plight, and townspeople vaguely remembered our names, and when questioned, the township council and mayor shoot off questions about the Halpers. And today, we still haven't been paid, although the land was evaluated 1/15 of its fair market value, and we're embroiled in court. These courts, which are supposed to be objective, which are supposed to defend human rights, but I doubt that those are awarded anymore. This country was based on the goal to be prosperous by one's own means, by one's will to survive, not one's will to be a parasite. And that's exactly what the government has done. And it's a unique case, ours, in that it's never happened exactly at the same time, in the same place, to the same people. But you find this all over the country. And it's not just about taking away property, but it's when someone imposes authority over you and damns you to submission. One gentleman I heard earlier spoke of human slavery, that we don't have civil rights anymore, or the right to endure or work for ourselves. And that's exactly what that parasitic governmental bureaucratic system does. It mooches off of the producers and disallows them to survive by their own means. And I'm not talking about money, but it drives me nuts to listen to people talking in circles, claiming that they know the law better than I can figure it out. Although I'm an idealistic teenager, I understand what men have to do to survive, and that's not what American law is proving to me right now. And I don't see it changing anytime soon unless we redefine ourselves as Americans. Sometimes I am proud to live in this country, you know. We have great material things, and we have the ability to start our own businesses. Loans are guaranteed very often, but every time one financial crisis hits or a political scandal, we say, oh, well, this has happened before, but we're not going to change our ways to make sure it doesn't happen again. But why not? We as American people, we as human beings must recognize our will. The fact that we have it, that we have the ability to change these things, and it's hard. It is very hard when you're stuck inside this system that just wants to destroy you, but nature wants to destroy you. We as humans, we as animals, as living things must fight for our rights to live. And the way that I think that we must do that is to rebuild our communities, to recognize that we do live in an ecosystem, that humans have a way to live, and it is up to us to decide how that is. It's up to you, and it's up to me, and it's up to my wonderful mother, who is so stressed out from all of the paperwork. But she could use a community to support her. She could use a friend's phone call or a friendly email saying, hey, I know what you're going through. I haven't had my house taken away, but I've heard of it, and I think it's terrible, and I hate the same contradictions that you find in the court systems that I find when I'm talking to a ShopRite clerk and he's bagging my groceries but refuses to look at me in the eye. And that's exactly what it is. It's a fear that people have to vote, to change things which they have the right to change if only they seize it. And I see for our future a lot more bureaucracy, a lot more entanglement, but we find gems sometimes, good attorneys who know the law, who are willing to fight for what they believe in, and what they believe in is right. And there is a distinction between right and wrong, and we have the power to decide what that is. But it doesn't only take one good attorney or one straight judge. It takes our insistence as Americans to find those people, to be those people, to reach our ideal, because no one's going to do it for us. And it takes the power of numbers to fight. What else to say?
First, you're not a teenager. It's not possible.
I'm 19.
You're 19?
Yeah.
Well, you speak better than anyone in Congress, and they're all older than you.
Tell about the...
I think eminent domain is absolutely atrocious.
I agree.
Just absolutely atrocious. What have they done with your property?
This is the best part. They took it for open space. Now, open space, by law, says that the owner of the property, which is now the public, I have yet to define that, although I think that I am a part of it, and so are you. It allows the township to sell, lease, or donate the land at their discretion. Now I say they. Who are they? They are the mayor, they are the councilmen, they are the developer friends with whom they attend weddings or go drinking, and as of now, the trees are being ripped up. They're being sold for private money. All of the land has been leveled, and I'm sorry to say that the lawns have never looked so manicured, but that's not what fields are supposed to look like. And oh, this is my favorite part. They've dug a huge retention basin, and I don't know if you guys have seen those, but in New Jersey they're quite popular because we have so many impervious surfaces like roads and parking lots that we need somewhere for the water to go. So they build these huge sewer lines and big retention basins for the water, and they put a nice chain link fence around it right behind the sign that says future site of Piscataway's Community Park in the Piscataway colors, and it's been standing there since 2006. Right down the road from the no trespassing log on the driveway I used to walk down when I walked to the bus. So that's the state of the place. My house is still sitting there. It has a hole in the roof. My sister and I went on a renegade mission a couple years ago and checked it out. And the place was in shambles. It had always been too small, but as I walked in, I couldn't believe that we had ever lived in there. It was like a ghost. It was a memory, and on the fireplace mantle was a copy of Atlas Shrugged. And I don't know if the teenagers who go in there to drink at night recognize the title, or if you do, but it is the pinnacle of our morality. And I suggest that you all read it, because it is the answer to the question, why is America this way? Who is John Galt? I am. You are. Bill is. My mother, my sisters, anyone who fights for what they want, and not in a crooked way. And you know the difference between right and wrong. But as of now, we're not party to the town's plans with the property. We don't know what's going in there. We've heard talk of a transit village because the train station to New York City is 2 miles down the road. But it's up in the air. And I hope to get it back one day, but we'll see what happens.
They throw us